Hey, what's up everyone? Mekkah here, and welcome back to the Fire Emblem 3 Houses Blue Lions Maddening Mode low turn count playthrough. You might not be surprised to learn that I am not playing, but just commentating. Today, we're doing the Petra Paralogue, aka the map that lies to you about its objective. This is very widely known, but I'm gonna reiterate it just in case you're not familiar with this game. This chapter tells you, hey dude, to win you either need to have Petra arrive at the end point at the bottom right of the map, or you can rout the enemies, whatever you like. And then when Petra arrives at the bottom right of the map, it's like, actually, gotcha, you actually have to rout the map, and here's a bunch of ambush reinforcements to deal with. Have fun, and you probably die, because Maddening Mode enemies are strong and ridiculous. That's just one part of the map that makes it annoying. The annoying part of it is, as you can see, it's almost entirely covered in forest, which means our hit rates are down to gutter, like downright terrible sometimes. Even outside of the forest, we can have some trouble hitting, for example, assassins and swordmasters that are pretty dodgy. Imagine when those two things are combined and we have to face the swordmaster inside the forest. This makes the hit rates in this chapter absolutely horrible all around. They range for somewhere anywhere between like 60 and 100, and individually those wouldn't be very bad, but when you have to hit this many of them over the course of a low turn counts, it's not a very pretty sight. We've done our best to optimize our hit rates as always. For example, Felix is going to be the one who takes care of the majority of the enemies in the forest because he has hit plus 20 that we didn't get on anyone else. We would have loved to have it on Dimitri for this map, for example, but he had to master Soldier to low turn, hunting by daybreak, and that kind of stuff. So we didn't have time for him to go into the archer route for as long as it takes for him to get hit plus 20. So Felix it is. It doesn't mean that people like Byleth and Sylvain and Seth aren't reliable at all, but we just wish they were more reliable, you know? And this lack of reliability is the reason why we started on turn 1 rather than on the preparation screen, so we could figure out a path that would allow us to connect our less reliable hit rates and then Divine Pulse back to the start and just repeat those steps until it was done. And that way it's also much less of a pain to record, even with the 20-second switch method that we're using. Speaking of the recording method, I need to mention this. You might see that this map drops some frames here and there. It's pretty notable, especially on the battalion level up screen and in some other places. This annoys me too, trust me. This is not a Mekkah quality thing, actually. This is the way I received the recording, and I suspect it's because post-time skip 3 Houses is just a very inefficiently and unoptimized game engine-wise. I'm not very big on software running on anything, but I think this is just a mostly post-time skip thing. Nothing I can do about it. This is just the way it looks, especially bad when there's fire on the map. Byleth has the important task of stun locking 3 enemies that are adjacent to each other with Assault Troop, and then positioning herself next to them in a way that all of them can attack her. You might be scared that the sniper, for example, could hurt her, but she has the fail gem from the Casper Paralogue, which both negates critical hits and effective damage, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Anyway, that's the player phase setup. It was pretty much the usual Wyvern, Dance to the Goddess, dancing with Burn Dead Ass spam, putting Retribution on our best combat units, and spreading them out across the map to cover as much of it as possible. Dimitri, you wish he was more reliable than he is, but he still has Vantage and Wrath, so he takes care of the enemies quite reliably for the most part. He doesn't have to fight in the forest, but he does fight a couple of dodgy assassins and swordmasters that we have to worry about. We try to eliminate the most threatening ones on player phase. We did this through focusing on something like a quick riposte swordmaster with Swift Strikes, for example, which just ignores his inability to get doubled. But there's still quite a bit to take care of. We can also deal with that combo on enemy phase by using, for example, Battalion Wrath and Setheth. But I remember in my casual playthroughs, this was a huge pain to deal with. This map's reliability was in fact so bad that we went out of our way to cook some deified fish again. If you'll recall, the last time we did that was for Chapter 7, the ground or field battle, where we had to rout the entire map, and the enemies were way outclassing us. So I think that goes to show just how much we cared about minimizing the sanity for this chapter. Deified fish gives you +3 dexterity, +3 speed, and +3 defense, but it's a pretty rare fish that you gotta reset a lot to get probably, or at least fish for a long time. I'm sure Flame would approve, but we would really prefer not to have to do that. Once again, I gotta give a shout out to Falcoma for figuring out a hard mode clear for this one. I believe that was a 1 turn. This time though, there's gonna be something different here. Did you know that if you route this map on turn 1 enemy phase, Hubert and friends appear anyway, and they get to move right away as ambush spawns and attack you with Meteor from Hubert and all kinds of gambits? That's a lot of fun, isn't it? Now, Hubert tried to hit us with Meteor, but we used Retribution to counter him right away, so he's gone right off the bat. Unfortunately, some of the other bosses just cannot be one-rounded on enemy phase because they've got battalions that they will gambit with. Particularly annoying is the one that attacked Dimitri and gambited him and activated the Wrath Strike theme. So instead of listening to some good enemy phase themes, we get to listen to that stressful Wrath Strike theme. And what's even worse is that boss is going to be one of the last enemies to die on this player phase, so you have to listen to it for quite a while. These reinforcements are notoriously unfair, and not only are some of them like really strong and hard to kill, but some of them also try to make their way towards the bottom right, where Petra was quote-unquote supposed to go. And if they reach that tile, they give you a game over, and that just wastes one of your divine pulses. Sometimes they just refuse to attack you on enemy phase, and as a result, you can't stop them from getting to the tile, like you would, for example, stop a brigand or a thief from raiding a village in some of the earlier games. So that is also fun to deal with. This is honestly one of the worst chapters in the whole game. I don't think anyone really likes this chapter. There's not even really a reason to go here, because all you get as a reward are some mostly inconsequential battalions. It's not like you get a cool relic or anything like the Freikugel or the Lance of Ruin or anything like that. You just get the Vardy Archers and the Bridget Hunters and the Bridget Mercenaries. Why would you even need them? I guess you could go to this chapter to grind down some battalion gauges to activate Battalion Wrath and Battalion Vantage, or get some experience maybe if you feel like you really need more for endgame, but generally you don't. But we do it. I've seen this question come up a couple times in the comments actually. Why are we doing paralogues if they cost turns? But it's important to realize that this is a playthrough where from the start we said we're going to visit all paralogues and finish that on lowest turn count possible. So no matter what we do in this category, we have to go to paralogues. That's part of the challenge. And in a way, I think pre-timescope, especially when you go to paralogues, planning that exactly is interesting, because the earlier you do a paralogue, the earlier you get the reward for them and make use of those and get XP that you can use to complete chapters. But some paralogues are so hard that you want to save them for later, like this one, so your team is optimal as possible. And in some other cases, the paralogues might be too difficult to even do with your team, so you have to delay them until later. Sometimes, for example, you would want to wait until you have a dancer so you can one-turn a paralogue. So that kind of planning, I think, was really one of the most intriguing aspects of the run. In this case, though, it's more like we waited with this paralogue to maximize our reliability to be as high as possible, and that's really all the decision to making that went into it. Anyway, this chapter is just about over. We cleared it in 2 turns. Tune in next time, as there will be a significantly higher amount of turtling. Peace out and goodbye.